Wahoo! I hope I didn't peek. I peeked the hell out of that.
Yeah, you did.
Welcome to the DweeBros podcast, the scariest, some say the scariest podcasts on the internet. Did you guys ever read like creepypastas and like stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Popular, actually. Haunted
Yeah.
Ohio. Haunted Ohio. Remember
My
those books?
favorite one in the world, I think you've read it, because I was an evangelist for a couple of years on this. Tim the Cave Diver.
Isn't it Ted the Cave?
Ted the Cave Diver.
Favorite one.
Wow.
Favorite.
Ted the Cave Diver. Look it up if you haven't already.
Oh, that one's rough. That one's really weird. And
That
creepy.
one like had me sweating. I read it in my room like just lights out. So that one will scare you. Tell me what your creepypastas are. But tonight we have our own creepypasta of the podcast. We have a group of 3 boys that are going to talk about games.
That is pretty terrifying.
That's pretty
always
scary.
terrifying.
3 guys in a basement talking about games. That's like in the Netflix.
And they have a
description.
podcast.
We're not the
That
five.
is
Dot, dot,
terrifying.
dot, and they have a podcast. That's the
Yeah.
twist.
We're not the Five Nights
Every
at
woman's
Freddy's
worst
movie.
nightmare.
Yeah. Did you watch Five Nights at Freddy's?
No. I heard it was actually really bad. But
Really?
I don't know if it is or not.
I heard it was fun and crazy.
See, I've heard it's awful, and I've heard people say this is the greatest lore setup. They're gonna make 5 more movies, and I was like,
I have heard that
What?
the crowd has been obnoxious.
oh really?
Just a ton of people like, there was on a subreddit, it was like, is this actually the worst group of people that could go watch this movie? And it's like, I guess they work at the theater, and they're
This
like,
is like-
we had like a terrible time.
Remember the kids when we saw John Wick that were like running around shooting like dart guns
Yeah,
and stuff?
that
This
was
is like
the
those
worst.
kids like Avengers Endgame. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna be
This is a
complete
big deal for a lot of
crap
people.
heads.
'cause
Yeah, it is.
that franchise is
We need the Minecraft movie next.
Have y'all played
Oh,
any
gosh.
Five Nights at Freddy's
No.
before?
in VR.
I never had. Oh, jeez.
Hey,
VR.
I'll tell you right now, I would pay money to have
I
them
can't.
stream it.
Yeah,
I'd like
it,
to play
it jumps out at you, and it's like, ugh, I can't.
And see,
even...
in my mind, I'm like, that's the least form of scary for you. How would that be like a no go for you?
That's just too scary.
And see, I don't get that. 'Cause, like, I feel like Resident Evil 4
I don't like
in
being
VR is scary. But
I don't
this
like
is
jump scares either. If I
And that's
know
what this
something-
game is a lot.
Yeah,
that's
because
all.
you have to hurry up, and then if you cut to the camera, there's somebody in your face. It's like,
I will say this.
I hate that.
In VR,
I get the fun of it, but
again, I'm always a big VR nut, but there's a definitive way to play that game. They have 1, 2, 3. They have all of those games built into this one massive game centered around. It's an arcade machine, but the audio design is amazing because that's what's scarier than anything. Because you hear the scurrying behind you,
yeah, I
behind you,
can't do that.
and you hear the laughing in one direction because it's 3D sound.
Yeah,
So you're like, it's just paranoia built on top of jump scares. So that's what makes it.
did
so
you get the
terrifying.
new MetaQuest?
MetaQuest 3?
That came out. That's this month.
It
right?
is out. It is the hottest and biggest thing on the market.
All I've seen is it's got
I'm
3 cameras on the
so-
front now.
I would say that VR stuff is like branched off for me. I don't even know what you guys might as well be talking a different language. MetaQuest 3, I don't even know, dude. I have a PSVR.
It's his new wireless one.
Can I tell you this?
The Oculus one.
AR and VR has finally made a baby, and it's MetaQuest 3.
Nice.
It is the prettiest baby out there. It's not one of those butt ugly alien babies you look up on Google.
Yeah.
No, this is a pretty baby. It's a headset, has 3 cameras in the front, but has full 3-dimensional color pass-through. Do you remember wearing the Quest I brought?
Yeah.
And
It
if
was
you walk
very
out of the
good,
frame,
yeah.
what happened? It turned black and white.
Yeah, it turned
You
black
saw
and white,
everything.
and you saw everything in black and white. Now
This
you
is
see in color
full color
Ooh.
in HD.
and HD.
So
you
guess
can
what
see
people-
yourself falling into your.
So it
grandma
just
and
looks
you're
like
trying to show
normal.
this.
It looks like normal. So guess what people are doing now? Living life with this VR headset on
I
your
saw somebody on
head
TikTok working out at the gym.
they had
the
an
VR
80-inch
helmet.
computer screen in front of them. It was they played a video and they were doing bench pressing. And then he sat up and he turned around. He had 4 monitors. He was working, had an air keyboard working, and he just went back and he started hitting the set again. There was a guy driving his Tesla the other day, working on the side. He has computer emulated on the side. He was driving at a red light. He'd look over. He'd move his mouse. He'd do
That
his
is going to
thing.
be so illegal so fast.
So people are using this machine for all of its AR capabilities. You can now play Call of Duty Zombies. They've built
I
zombies.
saw that.
You can walk around your house, map your entire house, and zombies will break through your window.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like they do in
I
games.
did. I've been seeing that. Yeah.
And so it is this machine. It's hard to really get right now because it's low.
You could wear it
of
when you're having
popularity.
sex,
You could.
and you could have Subway Surfers on the side
There we go.
And then, so you'd never be bored. Or like Minecraft.
Minecraft,
parkour.
they do a thing where
Minecraft parkour.
there's an AR game where you can turn your floor into lava. You map out your floor, and it becomes lava, and there's certain spots you have to jump from.
We just did that as a kid, like
I know,
without
right?
the AR.
But now you have AR, and so it is really cool. I don't have it yet. It is on my radar to get it. I just haven't life.
There was somebody in the comments of that working out video, and people were like, "This is so stupid. Why would you do this? You just look like a fool." But then people were replying and going, they were saying, and I agreed with this. They said, "Yeah, that guy looks really weird right now, but like I think back to when I had my iPhone when it first came out in school, and I pulled out like the lightsaber app. I'll never forget this.
Yep.
And every kid in the class like looked back when they were boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, and I was like doing this and everyone was shocked looking at that. But if you do that now, nobody, you know what I mean? Like
They're
Yeah.
shocked because who is this weird kid? What is he doing out here?
But I think people are, you look really, really weird if you do that at a gym right now. But they were like, that's going to be norm in like 5-6
Sure.
years.
Yeah.
There's going to be like that kind of having a screen or having that stuff or everything linked up.
There is daily household like things that we're content driven people now. Like we love to consume media at a high rate in short form, high form, whatever it is. We want media. And so something I've realized as a personality is that I like to do dishes. I like to cook. I do a lot of the cleaning in our house. And when I'm cooking, 9 times out of 10, I'm watching a video while I'm cooking.
So are you doing it with the Quest now? Can you?
I want that because of that.
that'll be
because
color. That'll be
I
better.
can grab
Quality,
the Quest, I can throw up a giant screen in front of me, and then I can sit here and start doing all my stuff in the kitchen. I can turn on I can always turn back, and right there it is. Like the video doesn't leave. It's just pinned up there, and I can always grab it at any point and move it. I can take it with me into the bathroom. I can walk out and put it back in the kitchen. No matter what it is, I have that video on, but I see everything as it is in these goggles.
And like, if we were doing the podcast, I would have like Minecraft parkour
Exactly.
videos or Family Guy episodes playing.
I could be wearing this right now and see everything we're doing, but at the same time, I have 4 different monitors.
Yeah, you could be watching the Bengals game as we're doing this and go, dang it.
100%.
You could be playing Yu-Gi-Oh during the podcast.
Yes, I can.
You
we've
could.
done that before.
We would just see his hand. We'd see his hand like flick.
You're
Like
like,
he would be secretly like flicking a card over.
pot of greed.
He's not reacting. He's like looking past like glossy eyes. Over.
But like, I guess the question is this: like, have you guys ever thought about how AR, like, because I wanted to ask it. I'm glad you brought up how AR can really change how we work in the next few years.
I'm already so tired. I mean, it's crossed my mind that it'll just change things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I understand that it'll become a necessary skill, just like having a laptop, knowing how to use that, or a tablet or whatever it is. But sometimes I just like looking out the window now. Like today, I just was sitting there.
Guys, check out outside.
And my cat was looking out the window, and it was a lot. We have a new kitten, so like I'm just exhausted. I sleep on the floor with a kitten right now. I'm completely drained, and like I just was just looking out the window, and I just was.
What'd you see? What's out there? Like, what's the graphics like?
It was kind of like street was really slick and cold.
Okay.
And
was it HDR?
The leaves are turning because it's autumn, and I just.
Okay. Oh, new season pass.
That's
crazy.
I'm just tired. I just want to. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be looking at a screen. Actually, you'd laugh at this. I'm reverting.
Yeah.
In my music studio, I bought a thing. It's called a fader port.
Analog.
And it's got faders, and you have one.
Yeah, I know what a fader port is.
And they will like sync up to whatever your system. So like if I turn on a project, all the faders will shift to like what it is in the system. I can move it around. Well, I had an artist over, and we were working on a song and a demo and recording parts. And I was like, here's the best part. I turned off my screen, and I just looked at this thing. And I was like, we're just going to listen to the music, and I'm going to mix it without looking at anything. And he was like, his mind was blown. He was like, oh my God, this is how people did things
and
forever.
He pulled out like his TikTok. Yeah. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I need to
and
have
I was like,
else.
this is the best part of the night. I don't have to touch a mouse or a key. I turn this screen off, and I sit here, and I just close my eyes, and I hear what's happening, and I move these faders.
Dude, you're going to
I actually was able to connect with the music, and I am just becoming a 1970s hippie almost. Like
when these iPad babies start coming to you and growing up and wanting to like,
they're
going to start screaming and squelching.
Well, I went through the same thing when I was recently, because I'm building a studio at home, I was picking out what kind of guitars I was going to get a software, because there's so many like Fractal and Line 6 Helix, and there's so many softwares now where you get a unit and you set
and
up
they
all
replace
your presets.
an analog box.
And then you get in your computer and you can do all your presets and they sync with the box and you have all these foot switches. And our buddy Michael was like, hey, actually get one of those softwares and use it for a week. And I did it. At first I was like, oh, this is amazing. I have every setting. I can drag these sliders. I can change the bias and the amplifier. I can make the amplifier more saggy. I can do all this stuff. And I found all I did was sit there in a menu and move sliders around, and I didn't know what it was supposed to sound like. And I finally, after doing a lot of research, found there's this company called Universal Audio, and they make a box. Because all these things are like, this has 50 amps in it. This has 150 amps in it. Yeah. And this is a $600 box with 150 amps in it, whatever. I found Universal Audio makes one. It's a Fender Deluxe Reverb in a pedal this big. And it's got 6 knobs on it. And the knobs are exactly like the real Fender Deluxe Reverb. And the only thing that's different is it doesn't make any noise. It won't make people go crazy in the house. You just make it go directly into your computer, and it simulates being mic'd by a microphone. And that's the amp. It's just the box. And I bought one of those for a Fender one and one for a Vox one. And it's like, I have real knobs. Like, I just turn the knobs.
Yeah.
I can't save all the presets, but like, I know how to work it and find it again. Like, I'm going like back.
That's what I was about to say. Like, your only negative is you don't get to like save presets.
Yeah, but I actually find freedom in that, because
you can always change
learn how to do it, and I can always change.
Yes, you can always change.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Do you like take a picture?
Yeah.
Of what?
I did take a picture. Yeah. Okay. And that's fine. You can take that pedal and you can register it, and then you can connect it with Bluetooth and save it. Yeah. I'm actually revolting. I'm not doing any of that. I don't want to. Like, if we're working on our album and I found like this sound, I'll back that up. But I almost don't want to. I would rather just
There's a style to that.
I'm with you, and I think we've talked about this in the group chat, and I think I got a lot of pushback, I think, at this. But I took a stand a couple years ago, I said in the podcast, where I've stopped updating things. And things are pissed off at me. Like, I had to test an Xbox game the other day, and I turned on my Xbox, and it took forever to boot it up. And it was like, you need to update. Like, it wouldn't let me even see the screen. It said, update. It just was like, you have to update. And I was like, no. And I clicked no, and it went black. And I saw the main screen. I tried to play something. It was like, you need to update, or we won't let you do anything. And I was like, ugh, whatever. But like, I don't update stuff until like it's at the very, very end of like, I have to do it to use something or whatever. But like, because I'm with you. Like, you know, we're getting to the age. It's like, what are we, old man yelling at the cloud?
Yeah.
And there is certain times where it's like, I have lived long enough to where I am now realizing where my parents and then my grandparents or whatever, there gets to an age where it's like, nah, this was better. Yeah. You're not old. To the younger people, it's like, unfortunately, you are not old enough to understand this was better. Yeah. Like, this stuff was better. And then our kids are going to have the same thing. Like, like AR 1.0 was way better than 6.0. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things where we hit a threshold. And I think some of that is due to, I talked about this before. It's like when like an app update, I think that's why I'm really against updating, is like you're just so happy using an iPad or using this thing or using the software. And then what happens is they're paying somebody to work on that software, so they have to do something. And they're like, we've updated the whole entire YouTube layout. We've updated whatever. And what happens every time? People go, I hate this. Yeah. They have to prove or be busybodies to keep their worth at work. Yeah. So they give them new plans, like, we're changing the whole layout. And it's like, you broke and made it worse. Like, you objectively made things worse. Yeah. Because you had to have a job. Yep. And it's like, well, just let them coast for like a couple of years. And then when something comes up, it's like, guess what? We have a new like technology. Add that new technology. That's your new job. And they don't do that. Valid. They have to update stuff like monthly. It's like they reach a peak and then they have, and you have to think about it. There's been times when like YouTube and all this stuff, like you think of like peak YouTube or peak whatever. And then it's like, oh, then it sucked. Then, you know, that was the peak YouTube was back then, or this was the peak software, Windows, whatever. But if it's so perfect and then they update it, they can only go one way. If it's really, like Windows 7 to me was perfection. And like from there, it's like, well, the only way you can go if you update it is down. Like, are you still on 10? I'm still on 10. 11 is 11's great. 11 is much. I'm just telling you, 11 is way better than 10. Yeah, it fixes. I was mad. I got auto updated to 11, and I threw a big fit about it one night. You should just embrace. But then I keep seeing people say, I keep seeing a lot of people online because I've heard that and people were like, yeah, I'm having a lot of issues with 11. I wish I would have kept on 10.
No, well,
There's some with the toolbar, some with the toolbar, something was weird.
It didn't make sense. I was ticked off, but now I'm like.
Now you got used to suckiness. Just say it.
No,
you got used to something worse.
No, I was used to something
I'm
old,
on 10.
and now I'm used to something new. That's called evolving.
The only reason I'm staying on 10, that I even updated from 7 to 10, because I would have stayed on 7 in 2023, was some of the games that were coming out wanted to use 10. So the same thing, I'm staying on 10 until the games say like, sorry, you need 11, and then I'll update to 11.
What we're learning
That's
right
when
now
12 will just come out.
Is that some people like to revert and some people like to move forward. So for his regard, there's a thing called Music Trainer in AR right now. You can grab an instrument, plug it in, and it'll digitally register your instrument, and it'll teach you how to play the instrument. So the piano, it'll have lines come, it'll teach you how to play songs. You just look at the piano.
Oh, on Quest, yeah.
There's a guitar one. Or I'll give you an example. Music Trainer in AR, you can digitally get amplifiers and mixers in AR. If you sit down in this chair, it'll magically just pop up, and you can just have your own studio right then and there. And then
why didn't you just do that, dude?
And it's gone. It was like it was there,
yeah,
but then it's gone. Yeah. And I'm like, no?
No.
Oh,
you could have had an empty attic.
No,
because
because
in your empty attic.
my skill set
maniac.
develops by the blood, sweat, and tears of putting stuff together and actually sitting with stuff and struggling.
So when that 13-year-old
just having
comes upstairs and you sit him down and then you put on that giant Oculus headset, he's gonna be like, "This dude's legit," because he knows you got all the good stuff in there. He can't see it. But
if you could have walked into an empty room with an artist and been like, "What? Where's the stuff?" Right in my head. Sit down on the floor with me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that stuff's just crazy to me.
I think it's neat. I think that's cool for like schools.
It doesn't change the skill set. There's still a skill gap at the end of the day. And plus, I'm an analog nut when it comes to music. You can't beat analog. If you do anything music, I'm telling you.
Even the stuff I'm using is pretty cutting edge and digital.
Yeah,
it's just the workflow part of it.
Yes.
It leans into knobs.
His thing is like that. And I'll give you an example. When you're digitally mixing, you have a fader. Let's say you have a fader system of 16 faders in front of you, and you're individually moving. There is something special about just getting it in your hands and just letting your fingers go to work and just letting yourself feel the flow of it. Because when you're on the computer, your mouse can only go, and you only have one pointer, and it's just like, I need to change 3 things at one time to see what it sounds like, and then bring them back, and then just I need to dive into 2 EQs at the same time.
You got it, and even beyond that, we listen to music with our ears.
Yep.
Not our eyes.
Yes.
So if I'm trying to get the right mixture of sounds, why would I be staring at a screen?
Absolutely.
Why would I be staring away from it?
Dude, you've leveled up. You've got, what's that guy's name that with the long beard?
Lars Ulrichstad?
No,
Rick Rubin.
I was going to say Rick Rubin over here.
I mean, why? Well, yeah.
That his beard is
I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
I just want to talk about, because it is really cool. If you haven't seen the videos on it, look them up.
Yeah.
It's some crazy, crazy crap.
Yeah.
And Meta's just loving it,
I think
I'm
it's
sure.
cool.
But
that's cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'll be a metaverse DJ.
iPad babies are going to be mad at that you're doing that, but they're also going to walk in and see all the stuff. It's like, where's all this clutter? Where's your headset at, dude?
Yeah.
Where's your studio at? What do you mean? This is my studio. No, dude.
Hey, go make your Roblox trap songs or whatever with your MetaQuest headset.
Also, speaking of that, have you ever heard of an EverDrive? It's like a cartridge you plug into an N64. They have one for NES and Super Nintendo, and you plug it in and you put an SD card in. You can put as many games as you want.
Yes.
So they're expensive. I finally got one for N64.
Nice. Oh, cool. That's the popular one. Because
I have a mix. Like over here in my game room, I'm going to do a game room tour, by the way. I keep saying that. But I have like the boxes to these things. But the problem with the boxes is like every time you open it, you're damaging the box to get the cartridge out and stuff. So it's like, oh, I like to display those, but like I don't want to mess up. Now it's like a collectible item. It's like, I would just want to have those and boot into the game and stuff. So that's what I finally got. And it just saves all that on there, and I can jump to any game that I have on there. So there is a mix, because like I also like playing on my old. I'm not playing on an emulator for those.
Yeah.
Games. That's why I wanted, like, it's on an original hardware with a controller on a CRT.
But you can leave your real cartridges.
I can leave my cartridge and not have to mess up the box and screw with stuff. So
yeah. That's really cool. It's
a good mix of that, and I'm glad I finally have.
Yeah, as long as you rip the ROM yourself and you only use your
I rip all 300.
and you rip your BIOS.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that.
That's the only way we condone any of this.
Yeah, I take a picture of my N64, send it to Iwata.
Because in that case, in that case, it's okay.
Yeah, I said it's right here.
Good.
So don't worry,
man.
winky face.
Good night.
Well, what have you been playing? What have you guys been playing?
Well, let's keep on the Nintendo train.
I said Godcast.
Well, you're not.
Well,
let's keep
podcast.
The Godcast.
Godcast. That's a good name for a podcast.
That's good for a good Christian podcast.
Yeah.
It has to be Godcast.
Godcast.
They've had some of that
I'm
name's
sure
already taken.
someone has it already.
There's Cumtown and there's Godcast.
Two spectrums.
You've been emulating.
I've been emulating.
I mean, no.
Sorry, I've been playing
There we
Nintendo
go.
games.
Okay.
Because they will find me and they will kill me.
Yes, they will.
They will destroy me. I've been not emulating, but playing in 4K Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Somehow I got a 4K copy.
Wait.
Somehow I got a 4K.
Yeah,
I'm playing it in 4K.
He has a new
I
updated
see
Switch,
Nintendo.
too.
No, I'm not affiliated with this whatsoever.
No, we played.
Don't implicate me. Hey, I was handed a controller. I don't know what I was.
He was handed an Xbox controller.
I thought it was some.
I taped over a Switch icon on
I
it.
thought it was like a magic trick.
Yeah,
Okay,
there we
all
go.
that to be said, we have played Mario Brothers Wonder.
It's like when you give your little brother a controller, so you're playing with him.
Yeah.
And this Mario Brothers Wonder, best 2D Mario in years. And people have even put comparison of the last like Mario Brothers Wii U or whatever right next to this. And in comparison, that's why I skipped the last one that they ported to Wii U, which I think that was just a port. Wasn't
It was just a port
of the Wii one, right? Or
the Wii U one.
Are you talking about the
That's what
Super
it was.
Mario
They
Brothers
ported-
U?
The new Super Mario Brothers.
The new Super Mario
The new
Brothers
Super Mario.
games, none of those looked fun to me. I don't know why.
And
It's
they
3D,
were
2D.
fun. They were fun co-op.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it was. They ported from Wii U to the Switch, and I
Correct.
skipped the Switch port because that was the
Yes.
Wii U version. But looking back at that version compared to Wonder, it looks so soulless. Like there's no soul.
They
in that Wii.
always look just weird, generic, like an AI made Mario
Yes,
game.
they are just so bland and no heart. And they showed like the animation of like going in a pipe and going whatever. And in the Wonder, the Switch one, like he goes in a pipe and his hat like is like he leaves, he gets sucked in his hat and his hand comes out and grabs the hat.
Yeah.
Or like when he grounds pounds and there's like some animation to it, or his hat comes off of his head.
Has a lot more flair.
There's more heart and soul to it, and
just little
like
visual
night and
flourishes.
day. And when they're running, they even talked about this. Like when they're running, that animation or like how he looks, they have to like cheat that, like the way his nose looks or whatever. If you looked at it from the side, he looks all disgruntled, but like from the side, it looks amazing. It's like that Mickey Mouse effect when his ears are not.
Okay.
That's not like real life with Mickey Mouse's ears when you see him, but yeah, it just looks it looks incredible. There's funny things that happen. Like this is like the second level. You get these wonder flower things, and when you get that and like activate that, it will change the level in a weird way, and it's always different. There's always something weird going on. So for that one level, the one that stood out right away is you hit it, and then you see a piranha plant pop up, and it's like blah, 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 and they are dancing and singing and following you. And the piranha plants are just singing, and you're like, you have an elephant Mario, and it's just so whimsical and fun. And I really, really, really had fun. Just the little we played, and I played a little bit alone on my own, but
I was having a fun time with it. Yeah, they're cool, and those talking flowers were kind of controversial. Some people were like not having it, and
they just don't have any fun in them. That's what Mario is. Mario is supposed to be. Some people love the challenge of Mario, but the reality is it's a fun game. It's a fun character. It's a fun world. You know, the 2D Mario platformers are made to be enjoyable and fun and a little challenging. Because some people are saying there's a level in that one that's extremely difficult.
I've heard there's several that get kind of hard.
See, I don't know. I just heard about one. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know. You might get to it and you might be like, I'm ready to break this thing in half.
That'll probably happen. That happens in all Mario games. At the beginning.
But the rest of it, everybody's like, it's pretty chill. It's just fun. Like, it's fun. That's the thing.
And you get to choose. There is, and this is a modern concept, and I think it's actually good. I don't hate this. There are two characters that are invincible. They don't take damage. It's Nabbit and the Yoshis.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're a little kid playing or whatever, you can hand them the controller and they can just follow you and not die. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So like when we're playing, we're not choosing that. We're choosing you can die and stuff. We're screaming at each other.
Not intentionally.
Because all the lives are shared now. So like when one of us dies or all three of us dies, there's 3 lives you lose in one. Like they're gone in an instant. So, but no, it was really fun. And I only really like to play those co-op.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I even got through the bland, boring years of the new Super Mario Bros. Because it was fun to like, oh, we gotta get that coin, we gotta get this, and whatever. Yeah. And it made your own fun in that. So I always like to play co-op on that. It's so fun the way they're kind of designed. So
it looks interesting.
How's that for me?
Man, it looks really
Mario
interesting.
Brothers Wonder. I've also played another Nintendo played another Nintendo game, and that was Luigi's Mansion 3.
Have you beaten this yet already?
No, I just started. I'm like 2 or 3 hours.
I started it up too. I haven't gotten very far though.
And I have been putting this game off for years. It came out in 2019.
Really good game.
People were like, play it, and I was like, I've played the first. Do I need another Luigi's Mansion? And it's been so long, and I was like, okay, let's whatever. Booted this up, and I was like, man, I forgot how much I love these types of games because it's just fun to go through this mansion and like see how you interact. All it is you're just interacting with every single thing in a room.
Yeah.
What happens if I pull this clothes off that reveals there's a safe back here. Oh, okay. Oh, there's something cool over here. Walk over here. Oh, there's a mirror. And because you're stuck to like this view.
Yep.
You can't rotate the camera at all in this game. So you just go into rooms and it's like a diorama. Like you're playing a diorama, kind of like you just move back and forth and you're fixed to this. You go, oh, there's a mirror, and the mirror is showing me there's something over here. I need to turn towards the camera and suck. Oh, there's something over here. You know what I mean? There's all cool stuff you can find.
It's a really cool.
It's so cute
game
and just
design when you think about it. Because all the original Luigi's Mansion, when you had the complete 3D aspect of it and you can go into rooms, they completely said we don't need to do that. Let's just do the floor system. And that's what I loved 3. I loved 3.
I'm really having fun with 3. Graphics are great. I'm really digging it so far. But
you're probably on like the second floor.
I just found EGAD.
Okay, yeah. There's a certain part in that game that like I had to take multiple tries at it.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't. I refused to look stuff up in that kind of game because that's what makes it fun. And I just sat there on this floor and I was like, I've done everything, and I've legitimately done everything. It's in one of the later floors. I'm very curious if anyone else gets. I get caught by crap like that all the time.
I got stuck. I was so stupid. I was stuck in this room, and then I didn't realize I could like walk towards the camera, and the door was right there, and I got stuck at that very beginning.
It's kind of an interesting like third person. Like it's not totally set camera, but it's like fixed on a wall. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's fixed in one view, but. Yeah. No, really like that. I'm glad I'm playing that during Halloween. Every year since that came out, I was like, I'm playing it during Halloween, So it only took me 4 years to do it. So.
There we go.
But yeah, Luigi's Mansion. I think that's all Nintendo stuff to play. But what have you guys?
I don't have any Nintendo stuff.
Any other stuff you've got?
I'll go ahead and break it because
I want to break the Nintendo.
Sony, Insomniac.
What are they doing?
They did it.
Yeah, it was Mario and Spider-Man this one time. That was a big...
Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
Well, there are Spider-Man.
There's Spider-Man.
That's what they should have called it.
In my opinion, it's been the quintessential game. The game that I feel like has been on my radar since they announced it. It finally dropped. And as soon as it came out, I just went right into it. You playing it?
I'm not.
You playing it? What are we doing, guys? Like,
I've seen enough gameplay. I can jump with you, though.
Okay.
I saw some of the traversal stuff.
Did you play the first one?
Yeah.
Did you play the first one?
I played the first one.
Dude, this one, like, it's so impressive when you have a studio like Insomniac. Find a way to continue just adding stuff to it because they did. It's like here's Spider-Man, the first one, which was great, groundbreaking. And then they did Miles Morales. It was like this is a cool add-on. They added a couple cool things to make Miles his own dude. Cool little side story. But boom, Spider-Man 2. Completely just upgrade on every single time. And this game, better win Game of the Year. Better win. Over Baldur's Gate 3. Over Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Has to win over Baldur's Gate.
Good luck. This whole year is so stacked.
In my opinion, I don't think Tears of the Kingdom... I think Tears of the Kingdom was top 3, but I think they're third. And I think Baldur's Gate's going to be in second, and it better be Spider-Man Game of the Year, because the story.
Well, you're coming for the Game Awards, right? We will be doing the Game Awards.
What is it?
December 7th. I think it was 7th.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You put me on the spot.
It's a Thursday.
Most likely not. But we'll find out. Spider-Man.
We'll text you when it doesn't win, but
You got to come back. I mean, last year was amazing.
Oh, yeah,
you
you
missed
missed
some of my favorite.
yeah, Bill Clinton. Something about Bill Clinton.
Gosh. Yeah, this game is phenomenal. I have already beaten it. Credits have rolled.
Oh, shoot.
I'm 87% through and getting my platinum trophy already.
How long was it?
I've heard it's on the shorter end, isn't it?
27 hours in.
Oh, wow.
The story.
Oh, but you're past the story. You're
I am.
inside and stuff.
But the story is short.
Let me ask you a question. Like, because I like the first one a lot. I miss Miles Morales. But I have it through the PlayStation, whatever the hell it's called, Plus, Platinum, whatever. Should I just jump in with this one if I were to play this? Because every time I look at it, I'm like, this looks cool. I wasn't going to play it. And then I saw some of the traversal stuff looks really cool. I saw it's like an Iron Man type suit and all this crazy stuff. So it looks fun. But I didn't do Miles Morales. Should I not play this and play Miles Morales sometime?
So you actually have, what's really cool, they do this, I think, on every Spider-Man, because I learned they did this with Miles Morales, and they did it again. They have a thing called Previously On, right when you boot the game on. And you can click on it, and it'll catch you up on all the stories. So you can catch up on Miles Morales' story and then jump right back into it.
So you're saying Miles Morales' game is not worth going
No,
back
it's like,
and playing?
in my opinion...
It's like 4 hours long.
Oh, that's it?
No.
Yeah. It's about 4 hours.
No.
I think
it's
so.
not.
If you only do story...
I might actually go play it then, because
I think
nice
it
is.
It was $40 when it dropped. They released Miles Morales as a $40 game for PS5. Because
it's
was
about
short,
4 or 5.
But I don't think it's.
I might go play it then, because then I just
it.
knock it off. And
I would play it because it is Miles Morales and it's his own little Slayer. But I will say this, like, in this confined game, it is short for a $70 price tag. But it's so good that, in my opinion, it's justifiable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you ever just got something that's like...
You said it took you 27 hours, and that's short?
You're trying to 100% it, right?
I'm 100%ing it, though.
Okay.
I probably
the story is short.
I think I beat the story in like 18 hours.
See, I'm
saying 9.
10 hours.
Some people...
That's
say 9 or 10.
I don't care if I spend $70 on a game. 10 hours, you have to really justify being longer than 10, 12 hours for me.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why...
Yeah.
Let's do like an RPG open world type
Everyone's
game.
been complaining because they're like, you could have done
Games are
so
too
much
long
more. You could have done so much more. And in my mind, like, this game is... Can I tell you the truth? This is why this game is my game of the year. I am swinging through New York. It's way bigger now. And what they do in this game is they are constantly throwing New York is in trouble missions at me. So you're swinging and you get a little notification, someone's getting robbed. But I'm on my way to my... Okay, I'm Spider-Man. So I swing over there and help him real quick. And I get back and I'm heading over there. And then someone next to a car got stolen. And I'm like, well, I'm Spider-Man. So I have to go stop him. And I'm like... So I spend 10 hours protecting New York because I'm Spider-Man. I got to. I'm Spider-Man. So like that right there for myself is just it pushes me into another world. Literally, my wife was sitting there watching. She's like, "You've been going over to that point forever now." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you going there?" And I was like, "I'll get there eventually."
Spider-Man has to have some prioritization.
Yeah, like I'm making my way over there. I'll get there.
They're over there going like, "Where is Spider-Man?"
But there is a feature, and I won't mention anything else because YouTube will play it eventually. When you do, you're gonna be like, "This is amazing." There's a feature in this game that was absolutely really cool, and it was their fast travel system. So you unlock fast travel as the game goes on, but it's instantaneous.
I have seen
travel.
videos of that. It's
instantaneous.
There's no loading.
No loading. So you pick
and you can go anywhere. So like all these other games are like you've opened up the spawn point, or you can
this Third Street in Brooklyn.
You select a street and then it finds a good spot for you there and it just puts you in that little
drops you right there instantly.
That's really cool.
Instantly, just like that. But the combat, I will say this: it upgraded the combat a lot. They add a lot of cool flares, and the spider suits they have in this game are just.
There's a lot of them.
That was a cool part of the first one. I liked getting some of the new suits.
You know what's really awesome about this game is when you go back and replay the missions, because I'm gonna do New Game Plus on Ultimate difficulty when it rolls out. It's wearing the funky suits and going through the stories and just like. Oh, this is hilarious.
Did you like the story and stuff?
Oh, this then too? Oh yeah. Because you want to know why? Everyone knows the story of Spider-Man. Like, everyone knows that great power comes great responsibility, and Uncle Ben dies, and all this stuff.
Aunt May.
And what they do here is they said, Uncle Ben was already dead. This is Spider-Man 1, spoilers.
Spoiler.
Aunt May dies. Aunt May delivers the line, now here's Peter, and now Peter is now a teacher to a younger Spider-Man, and it's a whole new story. It's a whole new story about but it's about Spider-Man, and yeah, it's just a great. When you guys play it, I would love to talk about the ending. I would just love to discuss it because it's a really exciting ending, and I just think Insomniac. I'm excited to see what they do with Wolverine.
Oh, now Wolverine, I'm in for. My only thing with this game, I think I had an amazing time. Spider-Man 1. I looked at this game and I was like, I don't know if I need that right now. There's other stuff I want to get to, like Luigi's Mansion and whatever. But an Armored Core, like I want to play like some of these newer experiences. But the Wolverine game, it's like, oh, that has me intrigued.
Yeah.
Like I love Wolverine as a kid, and I was like, I want to see where. I haven't played the last Wolverine game was like 360 at that.
Yeah.
Maybe PS2, I think. Like. It's been a while.
Insomniac has just continued to add credibility after credibility after credibility to their studio name. And so, like, at this point, they would have to do something, like, insane for me not to trust them.
I really liked Ratchet and Clank, too.
Yeah,
PS5,
like,
so
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, they just keep delivering banger after banger. So I can't sit here and say, like, anything bad about them.
Yeah.
So... But you two need to get your butts on it and play that game.
I will play it.
Zach, eventually. You said you've been playing Armored Core 6. I played the first act of that, so I talked about it a little bit, but I haven't played it in a while.
I've been playing a little bit more ever since I beat 16. I beat Final Fantasy 16. Was like, all right, let's go back to Armored Core a little bit. And that game makes me cuss up a storm and scream and hitting my leg with the controller. It has hard, maybe I'm an idiot, but like there are hard points. And it's like, I did find, I was laughing, there was a boss I was stuck on, and I finally beat him. And then when I went to go upgrade my stuff, I went to equip, I was like, oh, they gave me something, and I looked, and I didn't even have, because they let you equip something on the left arm, and the right arm, and your back right, and your back left. I didn't have anything on the back left.
Oh, no.
So I did the whole fight with just one set of missiles.
You doing it on hard mode.
I was basically in hard mode, so I was like, I'm an idiot. So I added that, and now I'm like fighting better.
That's probably what was giving you trouble.
There was a boss even after that, after I got both those things, where it's like I had to learn, you really had to learn like how they attack and stuff.
Yeah.
Because my one worry with the game when I was first starting was like, I'm just going to like, all I'm doing is dashing to the right, and I'm hitting this, and dashing to the left, and I'm hitting this. Like, there's not a lot of strategy. There does become strategy.
There does. Almost overwhelming with the different types of builds and stuff. They start tutorializing this stuff, and I'm like, this is a lot of
This is the only game, because I don't know if you guys play like this. Like, I don't ever keep my hands. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys, when you're holding a controller, keep 2 fingers on the front shoulder buttons?
Not normally, but
me neither.
Sometimes in Bloodborne I will.
I only keep them. I like the feeling of only having one set and press it. Like I'm only keeping that finger on the back triggers, like these on the triggers on the back, and then pressing the 2 top shoulder buttons, like with that. But in Armored Core, I have to play for the first time in my life. I have to keep those fingers on the shoulder buttons and on that. So I'm like, I'm not used to playing a game like that.
I was using the Steam
I have to use
a little bit with the back paddles.
Back paddles.
Oh, yeah.
Back paddles.
It's fun that way too.
A lot of people who play
I don't have back paddles on my PS5.
No.
I need that Pro controller that's $300,000.
A lot of people who play competitive shooters, it's called the claw method. And they play that way because you have it's less time travel to buttons. Yeah. So you can save nanoseconds.
Well, I'm playing claw, I guess.
But when you get back paddles, it adds a whole other element because you can remap them to be whatever you want. So your thumbs be focused on analogs while all the other 3 fingers can do the rest of the work.
Yeah, this game uses every single button.
It uses every button.
I think the only button I'm not using is R3, which is the right analog.
And I like they start. So
no, I'm using that. That's
there's different like archetypes
to do a shield
of Armored Cores. So like you play most of the first act with like a style, and then they start giving you other styles. Yeah. The tutorials are cool, and now I've taken I haven't played this game since August. Like, I've probably taken 6 weeks away from it. I'm a little, like, intimidated to go back. But I will say the good thing is you can go replay old missions and get a swing.
Yeah, I jumped back into it, too, and it wasn't bad.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't bad. They haven't...
I like the game a lot. How far did you get to the end of the first act yet?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm still in the first act.
One of the things I like, this game reminds me a lot of Ace Combat. A lot of Ace Combat, because... It's these little like intro, like, all right, Raven 1, we're gonna go do this, and then they're, this guy, we're gonna give you a call sign, and and then you'll fight for one side, and then you'll go like invade a base for this company, and then the next mission, you get hired by the company you invaded, and they're like, we need help cleaning this up.
Yeah.
Somebody destroyed everything.
Yeah.
And you're like cleaning up what you destroyed. It's really funny. It makes, if you pay attention, it's really funny.
They've started doing that. Yeah, I have noticed. I was like, there's only like 3 corporations running this, and I keep doing jobs for all of them. They got to be pissed.
It's the ultimate, like, my paycheck, I don't care about my employer type experience. Also, there's a mission early on where you log in and you're like, okay, this will be normal. And this guy's like, this is my moment. And like the mission is kill this guy. He's like, this is my moment. If you play this one, he's like, I'm going to take you down. And it's like, kill the trainee. And you come, he's like, I failed. And he explodes.
Trained the hard way.
Yeah. So it's very funny. It is over the top. It is goofy. But I don't know. I was laughing, having a good time with it. And it is not a normal From Software game. So I'm glad they did something like this after Elden Ring, because I didn't have another traditional game of them in me right now.
Yeah,
I will at some
it is
point,
very actiony, and you're trying to learn the patterns, and I'm like screaming because I get taken out by crap, and I'm like, oh, these missiles hit me.
Helicopter boss at the beginning.
There's stuff. There's one worse than that coming up for you, but
really,
but and it took me quite a bit of tries, but finally got it.
There is one. So there's one. Have you done the one at night?
I can't remember what.
You go into like a factory and there's like enemies you can't see.
Yes.
Okay, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So you did the boss fight. I guess it's a boss fight.
Yeah. There's one after that. There's stuff after that. But,
okay. Yeah.
But no, I really liked it. One other thing about this game. So I went on vacation. I finished my movie production stuff. So I was like, I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'm going back to Armored Core. I'm going back to all this. And I called my friend, or my friend called me, and I just have been in this mode of playing, doing this movie, but we used to just call and quote video game stuff all the time. Well, this one, I just watched the cutscene right before he called, and it was like, I was birthed in the fires of Rubicon. And it just talks like the opening cutscene, they're like, in the fires of, because that's the tagline of this game. So he calls me, and he's like, and I answer, and I go, I was birthed in the fires of Rubicon. And there's silence. He goes, let me take you off speaker. And he said, I went outside. There was like 6 of it, coworkers and stuff he didn't really know well. I'm on speaker. And you just hear, I was birthed in the fires of Rubicon.
He's like, this is weird.
And he was like, the reason I put you in speaker because you haven't done that in so long. Because my brain has been like fried. I've not been like in that goofy mood for like so long.
That's really funny.
That
also,
he's just off guard.
That's bold behavior.
But he just was like, thought it was gonna be normal.
Wait, you don't answer your calls on speaker?
Not around a bunch of people.
I always answer my call on speaker.
Oh, that is a gamble.
I can't hear. I'm like, I need to be. And so speaker.
I'm gonna start moaning when you like call
you
me.
Can.
You guys remember those Nextel phones people would have, and they'd be like standing in line at Burger King.
Yeah.
Like out and over. Like it's like their wife. Like you gotta pick up the groceries over.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Over people thinking. Nextel.
That was technology right there,
man.
You
know what? The
they were going places.
Don't know what I'm talking about.
They don't know what about Nextel. Yeah. I had a friend whose like parents they owned a business and they had like a bunch of Nextel like phones and stuff.
It was like people that were like owning their own business. So it was that kind of.
But wasn't that just speakerphone?
Pretty much.
It was like how you can send an audio message.
Connect to them.
You can send an audio message through a text message. It was like that, and it would just play as soon as you got it.
Yeah, it was more
psychotic
immediate
behavior.
It was more immediate.
Gosh, could you imagine?
It's like fragmented communication.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's wild. That is really, honestly, very, very wild.
The only other thing I played was 16. I beat 16. I want to give a final review of that. Don't play that game still. I beat it. Music was incredible. Highest of freaking highs of the series, I want to say. Like some of the coolest, like jaw-dropping sequences of the series. Unbelievable. And then the dumbest missions. Go collect my porridge from down there. You need to check out what. Right after the biggest, amazing thing you've ever seen. You come back to the town. They're like, can you do this for me? And it's, I wouldn't recommend it. It is kind of a dud of the series, I think.
So, using the patented DweeBros rating scale, the 6 ones you give it, what would you give it?
It's so hard because there's so many highs of highs. But if we if you want to take an average, it's probably a butt. It's probably like a butt.
Wow.
It just is like,
wow.
When I'm at the end and pressing X, it's like, hold R2 to push this gate open. I'm like, we have moved beyond this 13 years ago.
That's what
it's like
you said. Go ahead.
It's just so old.
You said that it reminds you of how I talked about Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Of just like, there's great graphics at times.
And it just took steps back.
It just is not a good game.
It's not.
And, okay, that's unfortunate.
And yeah, I'd probably give it a butt. I gave it, to me personally, I think it's a you can play it because the highs are so high.
Yeah.
I think it's barely a you can play it, but like if somebody's holding a gun to me, it's like it's a butt.
That's wild to me because I mean that's low.
If I'm being honest, it's low for a Final Fantasy game. But if we're really being honest, if you strip the name Final, that's what you got to do sometimes when I'm like so connected to a series.
You guys got to take it
If
away.
I strip the Final Fantasy name and you gave me this to play, it's a butt. That's how I feel about Skyward Sword too, about the Zelda games. Like that's a butt. That's a butt of a game. Like, but if it wasn't Zelda, but
it makes you want to play it more. That's how you feel.
If you
were like, it's fine, it's really not that bad. It's just not.
I mean,
great.
you're gonna waltz into the craziest sequences you've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah. And
you're gonna stand there and be like, this is the most fun I've ever had in a video game. And then and the fights are long. Those things almost like a smidge too long of so fun. But like when that's over, it is the worst of the worst quest that you have to do and the most boring. Like it is like 1,000,000 miles per hour and then you break. You go to like 2.
Yeah.
And you're moving at this pace.
So just honestly, the pacing is what kills it more than anything.
Yeah, it's just a weird. They don't keep up with what there's not. Yeah, there's the pacing's 1,000,000 miles per hour. Funnest thing you've ever had to the most boring thing. So I say skip Final Fantasy 16 and frick it, but.
Yeah.
Maybe that might interest some of you.
I played a game that is, I feel kind of similar about. So I just beat it finally. And there's still a lot of levels left, but I'll get to it. I've been playing throughout the last couple of years a game called Baba's You. Have you heard of that? Have you seen that before? So
that was your Halloween costume.
Yeah, it was my Halloween costume. Basically, Baba's You is puzzle game. So it's top down and there's like a little sheep. And it's like you can move around. And then there's blocks with like words. So you can form words. And when you put the words in a string, the world reacts to it. So Baba's You basically means you can control Baba. If you move you off, you're not anybody. You get game over.
Yeah.
So you can move around and like your goal is to get to the flag. And flag will be like flag is win, right? So if you move win off a flag, then you touch the flag, you don't win. But if you touch it, you clear the level.
Yeah.
But you do all these weird things with variables. Like there'll be walls around you and it'll say wall is stop. So you can't leave.
Yeah.
But then if you move wall off of stop, you can walk through the walls. But if you make wall is you're all of the walls.
Yeah.
And when you move all of the walls and the level move.
Yeah.
So it's this very, very dynamic system. And I'm shocked you guys had never heard of it. It won like all the dice games.
I had heard of it.
It's very highly regarded. And whenever you hear people talk about it, it's like most amazing puzzle game ever. Most amazing. So like I like puzzle games. I play, Talos Principle and Portal and all these different games. I have always struggled with this game though, because one puzzle will be, okay, the perfect puzzles where you're like, okay, I've seen something similar. I think this will work. I think that'll work. And you're like, you're close, but you're not quite there. And then you put it together and you feel amazing. The next puzzle will be 18 rules on the screen. 3 of them you've never heard of, a bunch of different variables. And it is so convoluted. And it's not like one where you can make up your own solution. There's one way to solve it. And you have to make a robot walk across the screen and do this and do that. And this Rube Goldberg machine that's like, I don't think I would ever get that if I didn't look this up. And I never, when I play puzzle games, look stuff up. I legitimately got to a point with this game. I had to look things up to get past.
I say 30 minutes to an hour if you're stuck that long.
And I looked up online, and the thing I saw everybody say is amazing puzzle game. Most amazing game ever. But I had to give up after 3-4 hours. It was too hard. And I saw that repeatedly, and I kind of got to a point where I was kind of frustrated. I was like, it's not an amazing game then. It maybe has amazing qualities, amazing potential, but if your pacing is so bad, and that was really where I was getting to, was there's like 8 worlds. So I kept seeing people like how long to beat it in 4 hours. And I was like, how? I am 18 hours in this game. Yeah. You unlock a level early on that's off to the side of the world map. And in it, it's one of those real long ones where you can do a flag as win, but you can also make it flag as end if you do a couple other things. I didn't never notice that. If you do that and then you touch it, you beat the game. And I know to most people this doesn't matter. I wanted to beat the game, and I was begrudgingly going through all of these worlds and getting so frustrated for like 10 hours, and I already had access to the final level.
Yeah.
I just wasn't clear to me that was the final level. So I am very mixed on it. It's a cool puzzle game. If it's $5, it's worth checking out. But I don't know if you guys have ever had a game like that pacing wise. Like you like so many other things about it, but the pacing for it really kind of made it tough for me.
Yeah, that's tough when the pacing's off. That's like a huge thing. A lot of stuff could suck, but if the pacing is like,
yeah, but it's cool.
Like will kill you.
Yeah, so it's a cool game, but yeah. Now a game I really liked that had really good pacing that I finished is Alan Wake. So I talked about that last time.
And I will play that. We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, I've been in a spooky mood, and I kept seeing that game because the sequel just came out, and it's getting tons of great reviews. I'm curious to know what you think. Yeah. I'm not going to hype it. I don't know if you'll like it or not.
I played Control, and I thought that was a pretty cool game. I think I gave it a you can play it, though, but I still liked it. So we'll see.
Yeah,
what I think of it.
I really absolutely loved and enjoyed Alan Wake. It's kind of like Twin Peaks, Stephen King kind of meets each other, and it's really quirky and fun, and stands on its own as its own kind of experience, and made me really want to go play the new one that's out because it looks fantastic. But that's Alan Wake was really good. I think I was like halfway through it.
If I don't like it, I'm already going to say my review. I'll say Alan asleep.
Alan asleep. That's good. Yeah. That's
so good. Just hold that out if I don't like it.
A game that you will not want to play before you sleep is Amnesia.
Oh, that's a good transition.
That's a spooky game.
I am playing Amnesia right now.
Now there's multiple versions. Are you playing like the OG?
The one on Steam, The Dark Descent.
Okay.
So I think it's not like a remaster.
No.
It's just Amnesia, The Dark Descent. So yeah, the way I have to play that game, and it's scary, but it hasn't been like I cannot proceed. I play it on the big screen, sitting well far away from the TV, leaning back almost like I'm casually interacting with this game, and I just blow through doors. Like I'm just running in. Okay, I'm going down to the cellar. Okay, we're going in, and I just start running. And if you see enemies in that game, the whole point is you can't fight back.
No.
I just duck, and I just go put my face in a corner, and then I wait 10 seconds, and I look, and then they're gone. So it is fun. It's definitely dated, but I totally think that game has a thing, like atmosphere-wise.
Yeah.
It is. Have you played that?
I have. I know exactly. There's a lot of them in that style that has inspired a lot of other spin-off games.
Yes.
So people love it. People will eat that crap up.
And that's why I'm playing it is for, like, when I was in, like, a college, some guy in my dorm room had it. And people were like, oh, we're going to watch each other play it. And I always thought it was more of just like a Friday Night at Freddy's, like jump scare thing. It actually has like an intriguing story, has some charm. There's like a part where you're going through a scary part, and then you come up and it's like beautiful music. And it reminds me of like some of the good walking simulators. But it just has some very freaking scary sequences. I just did a sequence where you're down in like these tunnels with this water, and there's an invisible monster chasing you, and you can only see it because you see its footsteps in the water. And that was very like, oh my god, I'm throwing bones trying to get it to go away.
Amnesia is an older game, and Slender Man and all those other games kind of lived in their own little genre. But a lot of games that have come out that have been horror driven, a lot of them point back to Amnesia. Like Outlast.
Yes.
Outlast has said numerous times, like the directors have said, Amnesia was a big inspiration for this. You can't have combat in Outlast.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big things Amnesia does. Like, there's no combat element. It's just more of you're walking through this and fighting through this.
Yeah.
And, that was just how it works. So
are you scared a lot of the time playing it?
Not scared. Like, I feel like mechanically, I can play a scary game if I feel like I get to grips mechanically of what I'm trying to do. Suspense is a good way of putting it. I'm not like, I'm just like, all right, okay. My sanity meter is low. Okay, I know I need to go down here, and then I need to go through there.
I streamed Resident Evil, and when I streamed that Resident Evil 8 demo, oh my gosh, like I was like playing like this, like looking over the controller.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Because I just can't, I don't like being scared. I don't like it, and I am immediately, the moment, even Alex came over, we played my PSVR 2, and he put on the headset on 8, and it's a dark, spooky woods with werewolves running around at night in like snow, and I was already laughing. I was like, I couldn't do a millisecond.
The problem is that those Resident Evil demos because they don't do the gameplay in those, are typically really scary.
They're very suspenseful.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because playing this, it almost reminds me of Resident Evil 8 in that castle because you're in a castle in Amnesia.
Yeah.
And I know PT gets a lot of credit for like RE7, and I think that definitely there was an influence there, but I would say PT, Resident Evil 7, I think all those games are influenced by Amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's cool to go back and finally play that one. And it's got some light puzzles, you know, get these little chemicals and make a thing. And
Can I say that real quick? You saying the puzzle thing, that was my other gripe when I got to the end of 16. Because I was like, why? Because you said people had compared it even to 10, which I do see there was like little DNA strands of that. But I was thinking, I was like, I thought back to 10, and 10 had these like kind of like temple things you did, and they were like puzzles. And you had to push these blocks around and move these orbs to like whatever. And 16's gameplay loop, you talk about loops and stuff and games. This had one of the most boring loops. And some people like compared it online, like if you liked online games, you'd like this. But it was really bad on like a loop because you would do that extreme stuff and then it was that quest, and then you go in a field and you fight all these like weaker enemies. And then you get, and then another summon battle. And then it's this thing. And that was the whole game. From beginning to end, every single thing. Whereas like 10, you might be like seeing a crazy cutscene, then you have a puzzle, and then you got to fight a ton of stuff, and then you have to get your party back together. You have to do this. This also, there was another. I'm sorry to come back on 16. There was this stuff I just remembered when you said all this was, they really, because it was kind of experiment. People were saying, oh, there's no party. It's just the one guy. It's just Clive. They should have had a party. Like the party members fight with you, but you don't see their health. You don't control any of that. You kind of controlled the dog, but I never did because the dog would do its own thing when I needed it to anyways.
Yeah.
It just come from like the 7's remake and you have all the HP
kind of the
and stuff.
idea.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I wanted a party.
It's interesting the way you talk about this game.
Really bland.
Of like highest of highs and then lowest of lows.
Lowest of lows.
What it reminds me of is Yakuza 0 for me. Where there are sequences where this is amazing, this is so overboard, and then it is a hobo like, will you go get me some macaroni and cheese? Yeah. And you get a macaroni and cheese, and he says, never mind, I want a beer. And then you go get a beer, and then, you know what, never mind, I want some lottery tickets. Like, that is the gameplay loop of Yakuza, and you loved Yakuza.
Yeah.
And I know that's a different game than Final Fantasy. Let me ask you a question. Part of what made Yakuza work and why I stuck with it was I was intrigued by the story.
Yeah.
I don't ever, when you describe this, you talk about the battles, you talk about the combat a little bit, you talk about the terrible side quests. You don't ever talk about the story. If this had a good, great Final Fantasy story,
I don't think
do you think the gameplay would have bothered you?
I will actually say, I didn't comment on this either. The story was not terrible. There was moments in the story, I was like, dang, they did that in a Final Fantasy game. Like, that's kind of memorable. And it's kind of Shakespearean at times. But it does the same thing. I talked about this in our group chat. Every single Final Fantasy game does. You get to the end, and there is like the evil bad guy is on his 6th form, and he's got like an unrecognizable face and blackened eyes, and he's got horns, and then his 4th form is bigger horns, and then he's got horns out here for a 6th
wings
form,
grow,
and the wings grow out, and then it doesn't have a face anymore. The face is huge. I can't relate to what I'm like fighting. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't care what I'm fighting. And this does that same thing. It gets to the end. I will say the villain in this one. There are that's what I'm saying. There's highs of highs, and I'm very mixed on this game. Of that, the villain in this game is called Ultima, and it is the design of this freaking villain is terrifying. Like, it has a white face, like a pale face, and it looks kind of like a vampire has like these veins. It's very like well done graphics, and the eyes are sunken in and they're like black all around like the face, and like the eyes are black, but it looks freaky because it's so realistic now. The graphics have been so like realistic looking.
Yeah.
So there's really cool elements of this game.
Well, here's the real test
and cool story moments too. But like as a whole, good bad pacing, really boring stuff that you're doing a lot of the time. But
so here's the real test: would you buy any figures from this game?
No, and someone asked me, I have a new, we got a new Final Fantasy 7 figure coming out, having a review coming out soon, but somebody asked me on one of these other reviews, they were like, hey, you're buying all these player arts, Kai, you're doing this for that, or are you buying the 16s? And I was like, no, I was trying to be nice. I just said, like, no, like, not doing that. Like,
nope.
It's not worth it. Like, if I have these on the shelves, it's because I loved everything about,
meant
like,
something to you.
Yeah, if it's taking physical space, ooh, I love it. Like, it
sense.
has to be, like, a full love there, but.
Yeah. Well,
so I won't be doing that.
Too bad about that. I had one other game.
Okay, what else did you play?
I played and finally played this game, Inside.
About time.
Have you played that?
Yeah, remember
Inside rules, yeah.
Inside
and
Limbo, I'm late on this. Me and my wife, she hung out while I played it, and I loved that game. That was so cool.
Yep, it's solid.
I'm surprised I went as long as I did, and I didn't the little the actual gameplay of you're controlling the different people. That I didn't know about that. So
they did two style games like that, if I remember correctly.
Inside and Limbo.
Yeah. Both of those, and they were both really, really good. There were some upgraded games.
What do you think of the ending?
I thought it was really cool. I loved the whole ending sequence with when you're getting in there and there's people watching you and they're some people are panicking and running, and then other people are just hanging out and watching. And it was just very this feels like it's staged, but it's not staged. It feels like a social experiment. And then what I loved the most was just that idea of when you get down to the bottom of the hill and there's that light and stuff, you go earlier in the game when you fall on that diorama, it is a diorama of the ending. Are you guys familiar with that? So there's a part where you fall down a tube and you fall on a little model of a hill. And then there's a little spotlight going down onto a little beach on this hill. At the end of the game, you roll down the actual hill, and there's the sun is shining on the spot where the spotlight was shining. So the interpretation, and I was kind of like, man, this is about time control or mind control and stuff. I do think it is kind of this idea of they were trying to get a mind control strong enough to actually trigger this set of events for an experiment or whatever. But thought it was really cool, shocking. Seeing that little boy, they packed 10 different concepts worth of sci-fi technology into this, but it felt cohesive and fun and interesting, and it was really good.
Well,
we had another game thing I just thought of. We didn't have it on our notes. They showed Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, yeah.
Delta.
Yeah. And it looked good.
Looked very, very, very good. I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
It's Konami.
Say, when's Konami done anything good?
I don't trust them. I don't trust those little guys over there.
It looked
but it
nice.
Looks excellent. It looks, and it's Unreal Engine 5. Looks like they kept the same feel of it. It didn't look like they were doing anything crazy. It looked very, very similar gameplay wise. We'll see. I will, I'm very open to them doing that, but I'm also
he's reserved.
I've got a sword back here.
Yeah, he's shielded. He's ready to attack.
Ready to attack at any time.
I thought it was promising that the gameplay, from what little we could see, seemed like it wasn't going full Tom Clancy or something. But I will say I'm still a little curious that they called this Delta.
Yeah.
Because Delta, if I'm not correct, it kind of means change, right? Or difference.
They talked about that.
And they were like, why did you call this Delta? Because it's a triangle and that's 3 sides, Metal Gear Solid 3. So people are like, well, it's just a different way of saying 3. I'm smelling Final Fantasy VII Remake
I thought
on
they
this.
said I thought they said in the interview it means change. It means whatever.
Change.
But it stays the same, something whatever. So
I think we're getting a new telling of this story, and they started with 3 because it's the beginning.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Evangelion Rebuild series, which I think is the way to do it.
I think it's the way to do it.
I think it's a way to go back and show something different, and at least in 7 Remakes thing, it's make some stuff better or make some stuff more interesting or flesh it out.
Make it better?
I'm not interested in Metal Gear Solid 6 with a whole new continuation of the story. I'm not interested in that without Kojima. And the remasters are cool, but there's only so much you can do with that. I agree, a rebuild. Let's see. It could be cool.
I'm down for a rebuild. I'm also down for, and people have been saying this too, is remake Metal Gear 1 and 2, the original MSX ones. The NES,
that's where the rebuild would go after a Peace Walker.
And at that point, really flesh it out, because it's it was just freaking 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever it was. Really flesh that out and make it crazy. At that point, go really wild with it. But we'll see. If this sells well, I think people have been calling for that. You have a chance to go back to that old stuff, but we'll see. That was something I just thought of.
That's a good thing to think of. We are a podcast of multimedia. So everything is under movies, TV shows, games, whatever you call it. And some of the things we've been watching as TV shows, it looks like it's going to be me this month because we have a lot of movies to talk about. But I do have a few shows I just want to quickly touch on. One of them is South Park released another special. And it's a banger. It's a banger. We are going to
always watch that, and I always get the updates on TikTok, like little clips of it. So I've seen a lot of clips of this. So I can talk a little bit.
I want to catch up on some news real quick. So South Park's been getting sued. Disney's been going after South Park.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Because they have been portraying Mickey Mouse as a very evil person who does cocaine and who has sex with bats. They have been really parodying the crap out of Disney and making fun of Disney a lot in the recent. They blame Disney for COVID, like basically, like they did a lot of crazy stuff, but they haven't won anything because everything is under fair use and parody.
Yeah,
they make it very clear that everything South Park does is under parody. That's why South Park got away with so much stuff over the years. So Disney's like, we're screwed. We can't do anything. Well, South Park said, well, now that they're done suing us, let's release a special making fun of Disney for a whole hour.
Oh, my God.
So they released an Enter the Pandaverse special making fun of an individual who works at Disney. Her name is Kathleen...
Kathleen Kennedy?
Kennedy.
Okay.
And they spent a whole hour ripping apart... Literally, the opening subset is the Disney logo, but it says South Park on it. Like... And so they spent the whole hour ripping Disney apart from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And it was a magical experience. It was amazing. It was hilarious.
I've seen clips and it has been very, very funny.
Oh, it is very...
It's been very
just
funny.
a 1 hour special.
1 hour special. So South Park's reverted back. They're only releasing specials right now.
Yeah.
They're not releasing any episodic content. But I think the specials have been very pointed, and they've been very good.
You know, are those on Max? Is that where those
Paramount.
come out? Okay, because I saw a few years ago they signed a deal with Paramount to make like 12 movies.
Yep, and that's
and
what
I
these
remember
are.
being like, "What does that look like?" It's specials.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So they're
That's
not
what this
releasing.
is.
They're not releasing anything that's like.
So they're not doing
seasons.
shows.
They're
yeah.
releasing specials, but these specials are so good
I think that's cool. Yeah.
because like you can't.
That's
tell
what
their
that's what their shows have been the last 10
Yeah.
seasons is like a 10 episode arc
Yeah.
basically.
So
that makes sense.
man, I watched it today. I actually sat down and I watched it. I was like, and they're never wrong. At the end of the day, there's always like an underlining truth. You're like, some of it you can hide as just like hilarious, but at the end of the day, they've wrapped up the thing basically saying Disney's terrible company.
I should check this out. This sounds
And I'm
fun.
walking around like, yeah, Disney does suck.
Well, the concept of this one, I just have seen this from the clips where they made all of like Stan and Cartman and stuff are like, it's a black woman or an
They're diverse
Asian woman.
women.
Yeah, I
or
get it,
like,
yeah.
and it's all different,
Yes.
whatever. But what was funny about that was like you just have all these different like ethnicities or whatever being Stan, being Cartman,
Yes.
being whatever.
It's
so you get to see
pretty
all.
crazy,
and
yeah.
But the thing that was making me laugh the most was you have all these like adult women and they're like, "You've been playing Baldur's 3 Baldur's 3 again."
Yes.
And it's like, "I don't give a fuck, mom," and I don't give like the same thing. But it's like people that like these kids. It's funny when these kids are doing it because that's what they're doing. It's like, why are these adult women like?
I don't want to.
Doing this like.
So the whole special was built around Baldur's Gate 3.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why you
And
haven't
that's-
seen it.
yeah.
That's what was making me laugh was the uselessness of these
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
of
So
that.
I have to
being
check
the
this
next
out. I
one.
like South Park. A
Yeah,
lot,
I
so
don't
it's
want
funny.
to. I don't want to ruin it because it's like it is really funny and it's really
Yeah.
funny to go into it blind because you can make your own opinions about what you think about parody. But I think parody, if you can't laugh at parody, then you don't have a funny bone in your
I
body.
love that just the company that's suing them, like just after they're done suing them, just stick it to them even
Oh
more.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
that's just who they are. They did
Yeah.
the same thing to Family Guy when they did the whole cartoon wars, freaking all the stuff
Yeah.
that happened in the Middle East and.
Well, they seem to genuinely dislike because I like Family Guy and I really like South Park, but
Yeah.
the Family Guy, they interviewed that guy. They were like, you know, they really like went in on you and made fun of you when they really spoofed Family Guy for
Oh, yeah.
multiple episodes in a row, like hard. Basically
Mhm.
said the guy's talentless, and like, what do you think about that? And I don't remember who's the guy that does Family
Seth
Guy.
MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I don't know. I really like their show. I don't know why. Like, we have a different way of doing things. Like, I get they don't find my stuff funny, but I find their show funny, and it's cool. Like, he was very diplomatic. Yeah. And then they interviewed
Matt Stone and all them.
And they're like, we hate that guy. Yeah. Like, and they just were so aggressive. Like, they really do not like him.
Yeah. Matt Stone and Trey Parker have taken a stance of it. They don't like it. They're going to make it clear.
If they don't like it, they're like, I don't like it. I don't like the people that make it. Yeah. I don't like it. And it's like, they are very hot and cold with things like that. So
you should watch. I'm telling you, it's really, really good, guys. It's cool. A good special.
They're great because even things they make fun of, like they had a thing that they made fun of Radiohead or they make fun of whatever. It's always funny. Always. Like they always are touching on something that's funny.
Always, and they stay relevant. That's the thing that makes it like better than anything. Two more things I want to touch on real quick. I have NFL Red Zone for the first time in my life. It's amazing.
I don't have Red Zone, but I have YouTube
What is Red
TV
Zone?
now.
Is that like HBO Max for NFL?
Okay, so the concept to me, I've always understood. Anytime a football game enters what's called the Red Zone, which is in 20 yards of scoring, they play the game, and they show you those moments.
Let me even break it down further.
Okay.
So
when it gets to the good part,
on a Sunday, there's 12 games on, and you can only really watch a couple of them.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time watching something not exciting. So they have a show where, like, literally they just take you live to whatever's
the highlights.
Yeah.
So I'm a big
live highlights.
I'm a big proponent. I love watching my home, like the team I like the most, which I always like watching the Cowboys. I'll watch a full Cowboys game. But I'm not sitting down watching the Steelers versus the freaking
What
Browns.
happens if there's multiple that are...
I'm about to go faders and knobs on you again.
Yeah.
I can't get any read on how... I do watch full games of other teams.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way I learn how other teams are, actually.
So here's what's really cool about Red Zone. I'm just going to tell you, again, being the guy that I am, it just constant stream of information.
This is the Oculus guy.
It shows me every turnover. It shows me every touchdown. And this guy, it's just one guy, and it's nonstop, no commercials. Nothing. So I sit there, I literally recline her up. Hi, welcome to Red Zone. Here we go. We have 3 games, 3 triple box going on of all 3 games. We're going to take you each individual, and he just starts breaking down each game. And when they're getting the scoring opportunities, and I'm just like, this is football. And I'm
How do you have it through cable or
YouTube TV?
So can you get it and not get NFL Sunday Ticket?
I think it is Sunday Ticket. Double check, but I think
because I have YouTube TV and I thought about getting Red Zone.
We have Sunday Ticket because a guy who I have YouTube TV through.
It's like $400.
He was like, "Hey," he's like, "I got He was like, "I got
Sunday
5
Ticket.
people who would split it," and I'm like, "I'm in."
How do you do that?
He gave his log out to 5 people, so we just all.
You might get Netflix.
Yeah, well, I love it. It is the best way to watch football on a Sunday. It is by far, there is not a better way.
I get it because I did that once when the Bengals had a bye week last year, and somehow I had Red Zone on a week. I don't know what the circumstance was, and it was very fun.
Yeah, and the guy who does it is really good at it. He is really good.
I want the future to be, I'm driving my car with my Oculus, and if somebody's in that 20-yard zone, I want that to take up my full view.
Like
to me, it's cool.
Yeah.
It would be like if somebody if all of E3 was happening at once, like super cut it down, and you just saw
Xbox just announced
you only saw the good stuff, and
we need to start doing that. We need to do Dweeb Zone, and we need to have like Microsoft's doing it because sometimes it was Square Enix and whatever, and we need to go like who's better.
All right, guys, we're gonna go to Square
and we
Enix
make that screen bigger. Whoever's winning at the time.
Oh my gosh,
it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I just want.
That's cool.
It's TV related. I want to shout it out because it is really, really good. And the last thing I want to just talk about is Grey's Anatomy. I'm watching Grey's Anatomy.
When we started this podcast, you were watching it.
No, I was watching Scrubs.
Scrubs, that's what
I watch Scrubs every year. It's a commitment. I will watch Scrubs every year.
But now Grey's Anatomy.
So my wife, she was like, "Honey, can we get Netflix?" I am an anti-Netflix person unless it's Stranger Things.
Is he, yeah.
I'm out.
Netflix is probably one of the worst forms of media. They have terrible content. But she was like, I really watched Grey's Anatomy, and there's only one way to watch it. It's on dang Netflix, apparently. We couldn't find it on Hulu.
You could emulate it.
I could emulate it.
With your own copy.
Yeah, I had to get my own copy, obviously.
Yeah, rip the BIOS.
So I had to freaking bend a knee and get Netflix, and we got it, and we're in season 3 now. And I just sit here, and I was like, this show was the most popular show back in the day, like in terms of dramas. And I'm watching this, I was like, I hate every single one of these characters. There's not a thing.
I've never had a drive to watch
I love doctor shows. I watch Good Doctor. I've watched Scrubs. I like doctor shows. And I watch this and I'm like, House
watch
is aight.
House.
He's a little depressing, but he's aight.
I watch House.
But I watch it, I'm like, the main character, she could drown, and I wouldn't have cared. Like, I'm saying this in like the lovingness way possible. Like in real life, if she just disappeared, I wouldn't have cared. like she is so bad, and it's just not a good show. And she loves it, and I'm watching and I'm complaining the entire time. And I think at this point, she enjoys watching me complain about the show than just watching the dang show.
I never watched that, but my mom would watch it, and that show has one of the freaking funniest things that happens to a character where my jaw was on the floor. Like, it's amazing.
What season?
Like 8.
Oh, okay.
So I walked in and something was happening, and somebody blows up.
That happened.
And I was
like,
it
wasn't season. It was season 2.
And who was it?
It was the bomb. It was a bomb guy. He was walking out with a bomb. Okay.
So a main character blows up later.
So
Again?
There's another.
Yeah,
There's another
I am
explosion.
talking like if you think of a
Mother
show like
fricker.
Big 3, Big 4, like a big character, major character
Blows up
blows
at this
up.
hospital, and that's the second explosion they've had.
Yeah, and
at
I
that
was
hospital?
just like, I was like,
So
what?
in season 2, because you talked about it, they were
One
doing
explosion's
surgery
crazy.
on a lady, and they find out that something happened, and basically one bad move, and she blows up. There's a bomb in her, and so. What happens is this paramedic, this girl who's an EMT, she's really young. She's like 20-something. She has her hand in her side. And everyone's cleared out of the OR. And it's just her, the person doing the oxygen, and a bomb squad guy. And he's like, you can't move. And she starts having a panic attack. And she's like, I can't do this. I can't. And she rips her arm out. And everyone ducks to the ground. And it pans back up. And the main character, Meredith, she took her place. She stuck her hand in. And she's holding the bomb now. And so everyone's like, why would you do that? And the guy who loves her is like, you shouldn't have done that. And everyone's freaking out. And so what happens is they do surgery. They open it up and she removes the bomb and hands it off to the bomb squad. And he's like, you saved a lot of lives this day. And he walks out of the room and Meredith just standing there holding her hand like this, walks out and follows him. And as he's walking, he just blows up. And it blows her back. And literally it was like, and I look at my wife, I was like, that is so stupid. I want you to how dumb.
When this
that
is like
is.
where you're at in season 2, like you can't, there's nowhere else to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, you took out the biggest
The dude
thing to
just
do.
blew up.
Yeah, where
And
can
I'm
you
like,
go?
how did the bomb even get in her? Like, there's no logic. This is just stupidity.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
so, like, I'm watching this just in the
Yeah.
point of complaining for me. Like,
So when are
context
you
sake.
going to watch Friday Night Lights? You're watching Grey's Anatomy.
I don't know, man. When do I have time?
You got time for that.
Well, it's like that's our bonding thing. That's like what we do as a bond.
That could be your bonding.
She hates football, dude. I will say this. She sat down the other day. I was watching the Cowboys. They were
She
playing.
has to watch Friday Night Lights after doing this. it
Dude,
sounds like.
maybe. We were
You're
watching
gonna
the
throw
Cowboys and Rams, and Cowboys were killing the Rams. It was like 33-10. And she's like, man, the Cowboys really suck. And I looked at her, I was like, what? And she's like, well, they're losing like 20-something points. I was like, oh, you can't even read the scoreboard. Gosh dang it, dude. Like, I hate this game. So, yeah, I mean, there ain't no way we're committed to that route. She ain't watching anything football related. So, but
when it goes on the Oculus and he can watch it at the same time he's doing dishes.
Yeah.
that's
There you
the
go.
win right there.
That's when you can do it.
Man, she might divorce me if I was ever wearing that thing 24/7.
We're all going to be doing it in a couple years, dude.
Maybe. You can have your... Actually, nope. Can't say what I was about to say. Anyways, let's talk about movies.
Let's talk some movies. I've got a few I can go through quickly.
All right, lightning round.
I've been doing my Bond marathon.
Okay.
With a couple friends.
You've been bonding with them.
Been bonding. So let me see how many I had on this list. Hold on 1 second. I think I had 2.
Over under 3.
I have 2, I think, this
Okay,
time. So I had 4 last time. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we watched You Only Live Twice, which is the kind of the last Sean Connery one.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is funny. Bond goes to Japan, and this movie's good for the first hour. And like at 50 minutes, an hour in, James Bond has to go to this island, and there's this very convoluted plot where he has to become Japanese to go to this island. It's only
I think
for
I've heard
locals.
about this.
And James Bond goes, and it happens so fast that I'm like, wait, why is he doing this? He starts training to be a ninja. And he's trained to be a ninja, and then they say, okay, but even if you're a ninja, our mission's in 10 days, you don't look Japanese, and you have to take a Japanese
this is the
wife.
most racist one?
It is definitely up there. He goes through a Japanese makeover, and they cut his hair like a bowl cut, and they dye it dark, and they give him like Japanese eyebrows and like makeup, like, and they make his.
Do you think they'll ever remake this film?
I don't know.
No.
So they make him Japanese.
When did this come out?
64. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
1966. Awful. So that was a unique movie, and then they go into he marries a Japanese girl. He marries a Japanese girl, and they do in the end save the day.
Could she tell that he wasn't Japanese?
Yeah, she could tell.
Okay.
Tell. But no one else in the town could tell. For some reason.
I guess you could only live twice, and he did live twice.
So
there.
yeah, so that was You Only Live Twice, and then the next one we watched is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and this is the first one that isn't Sean Connery. So it was very funny seeing Jess's reaction because we've seen like 6 movies, and it's always the same guy. And they like are doing the thing where you can see like the bottom of his mouth, and he's driving, and he gets in a fight on the beach, and then it zooms in on his face, and he says something like, "This never happened to the other guy." Like he gets jumped by some people, and Jess is like, "What the heck is this?" So yeah, it's George Lazenby is George Bond, James Bond in that movie. It's the only one he is Bond, and he's the only one that did one and done. Everybody else did a bunch of movies, and he did once and didn't want to do it again. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is a good movie, but it is a weird one. It is like proto The Godfather. Like Bond goes to Sicily, like in The Godfather. It came out before The Godfather, and he gets married. He actually gets married, like falls in love with a woman and gets married.
Probably the only Bond movie where that happens.
It is the only one I can. Yeah, it's the only one where he gets married.
He ain't really tied down in the
and he like, and it's not just for the mission. Like he falls in love with a girl, and it's very different and it's very strange. And spoiler alert, she gets killed at the end of the movie. And it's like very quick, like, and then the end credits roll, and then like the Bond music comes on. So it's just a very strange movie. Fun parts, very interesting, but
I guess he retired after that.
Yeah, that guy didn't want to do more than just that one. So
he killed his wife.
Yeah, he watched his wife just get blown to bits.
But watching through these has been fun. We're getting ready to we have one more Sean Connery one because Sean Connery left and then he came back because that guy didn't want to do another one. And then we get into the Roger Moore era, which has a lot of really funny ones that I think will be worth talking about on here. More racism, likely. I will say that almost every one of these movies, a woman gets slapped extremely hard. Like
every single one.
Once.
How many takes do you think they do?
That's crazy. That's every single one.
It's happened in like over half of them.
That's awful.
Like
you should make a cut of the slaps. Like a super cut. If you put that on TikTok, that would blow up.
And like I know that was a thing in like 60s movies. I guess that would happen, but it's so crazy when it happens.
Yeah.
Because like she'll just be like, I don't think so. I don't think we should do. And they'll just smack her. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, and it's loud, and it's like, but it's, he's the hero.
That's awful.
I guess.
I guess so.
That's the Bondathon will continue.
The Bondathon will continue. Did you guys ever watch these?
No.
I watched one in theaters in 2009, whatever one came out there and then 08 or 09.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I saw
Quantum of Solace. Did it suck?
It was okay.
It was Quantum of Solace. If you had seen Casino Royale,
Casino Royale was before that.
You would have loved that movie. You should watch. That's a very good movie. Yeah. But yep. So that's what's going on with the Bond movies.
The Bondathon continues.
Watched one movie, and I actually introduced my wife to anime for the first time with this movie.
Evangelion, finally.
We were going back and forth, and she was like, "I just don't like." She thinks anime is very over sexualized.
It is.
I like how she said she thinks.
No, I just try to tell her it's a different culture.
It's a different culture that I resonate with.
I don't know how else to say it.
What would you say about it?
But I will say this: I got her to sit down. I was like, "Hey, I have an anime. It's very it's an anime movie, and I think you're gonna love it." And it was Spirited Away.
Yeah, those are the Disney's.
Yeah, I was like, if I can get her to watch this, I might be able to find.
It's like an appetizer. Yeah.
I can kind of tease it and I can slowly get her to Naruto. I think if I can get her Naruto, then we can start to do something.
Yeah, until she sees how many episodes there are.
Yeah, I'll have to just convince her that.
Hey, when does this end? We're on the 60th episode. Are we at the end?
Yeah.
You're 14th of the way.
We're pretty deep. But yeah, so we watched Spirited Away because I just told her, I was like, there's an old anime movie that came out.
I watched that with Chelsea.
Kind of cartoonish. I was like, you'll really like it. She was hooked.
Yeah, those are Disney movies. That's a good way if you have a wife, girlfriend, significant other, anybody. They're not really into anime. I haven't watched any of the Miyazaki films.
Yeah, and I will say
that one especially.
The second time I've watched it, and I was like, man, this is a really good, just whimsical story, very cute. Kind of has like some sad moments to it, obviously, but it all works out in the end. And I was like, this was a good movie.
And if you want to hear a kid cry for 2 hours, watch My Neighbor Totoro.
What is it?
My Neighbor Totoro with the big...
Same design, everything?
It just has... I just remember a kid crying. There's a character that's a kid, a girl.
Can I tell you the part
that cries throughout that film?
The only part
consistently
that got her like
wah crying, not like sad crying.
Yeah, there's two moments when she audibly gasped during the film. The first one was when the parents started eating uncontrollably and they all both became pigs. Yeah. She was just like, why? And she's just like, she was so confused. And the second one was when that spirit entered the temple. Yeah. The bathing house and he ate someone. And then she was just like show her Evangelion next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're there yet. So, but we did watch Spirited Away, and I'm like, it's a very good movie. It's just always fun.
I need to watch. I still have never seen a Miyazaki movie.
I've seen them all except he's been putting out recent ones, so I saw all of them except the recent.
Oh, you guys should watch Grave of the Fireflies next.
Grave of the
Fireflies.
Yeah, watch that.
That's a great date night movie.
Are you saying that?
I'm saying it sarcastically. That is about the bombing.
I have heard that is the saddest freaking
I
movie.
will never watch that film again. It was too sad for me. Like it literally is just sadness encapsulated.
I would rather not be sad all the time.
Yeah, I didn't like it because of that, because it was too sad.
I watched South Park. That's my dynamic.
I watched a anime like that. It was called Now and Then Here and There, and it was extremely highly rated. It's 10 episodes. 12 episodes, and I saw people be like, this is like children get enslaved. Like the premise is this kid's trained to be like a samurai, and he gets dropped in a different dimension. And there's a girl that they're trying to chase and kill, and he's trying to help her. So it looks like a normal anime, but I saw people say this is the most existentially draining show. I heard people say like child soldiers and like children as slaves, all this crazy stuff. And I was like, that sounds kind of intriguing. I watched 2 episodes. You
had me at child soldiers.
I watched 2 episodes of this
War
show,
with children.
and it's only 12 episodes, and I was legitimately depressed for like a week, and I never went back and watched it.
There's media like
I still have it. It took something out of my soul, like watching it. And it wasn't like gory or anything. It just was
sad.
I can't. Yeah, there was an energy that it was just.
That's what's like when I watched Joker.
Yeah.
When I watched out of Joker, I was like,
Joker messed me up. I was while you're saying that, I was like, that was too sad for me. I remembered I watched a 9-hour Holocaust movie. It was a documentary that lasted 9 hours. Remember that when I was like freaked up?
That's brutal.
But Grave of the Fireflies for some reason messed me up, the same. But
I wonder why.
I do.
It messed me up faster. If you want to get more sad even faster.
I find media like that fascinating, like that it can have that power. How you feel.
Let's do a stream in the future, and we watch something like it, and last one to stay wins. That would be the stream. Last one to stay wins. You gotta be in the
mood. Sometimes you're in the mood for that.
Sometimes you're in the mood.
I was in the mood at that time in my life for a 9-hour Holocaust.
Let's go play with puppies. Then we come back, and last one to stay wins.
Palate cleanser. Or let's do that. Then let's go play with puppies.
Palate cleanser.
A good movie that was a nice positive thing I watched is When Harry Met Sally. Have you guys ever seen that before?
I have. Yeah, I know.
I never saw that. My mom and my dad.
I always thought that was a porno growing up.
So you're thinking of the other.
Hold on. I was under the same impression because people like whenever that movie would come up, people would be like, "Oh, that's very sexual. It's very sexual."
Yeah.
So when my mom brought it over, do you want to watch this? I was like, "Isn't there like a lot of sex scenes?" There are no sex scenes in this whole movie. It is a romantic comedy in New York. It's really pretty sweet. It's like a guy meets a girl when they're like 19 and they don't really connect. And then like 5 years later they meet again and they don't really connect. And then 5 years again. And it goes through like from their 19 to when they're 40. And it's funny. It's a comedy. Okay. It's made by Rob Reiner. So it's really smart and witty.
Yep.
It reminds me of like Seinfeld and Friends. It takes place in New York kind of in the late 70s, early 80s. Like same kind of time period as... Or like earlier than Friends, but it has that vibe. And it's really fun. It is really funny. There is a scene. I know why people didn't want kids to watch it. It's not a sex scene, but there is a scene where they're in a diner. And it's a guy and a girl. They're friends. They're not married. They're friends. And he's saying, "Oh, girls never would fake with me. They never would fake with me." And she's like, "Well, how do you know?" He's like, I know." and she fakes like at the table, like
Yeah.
loud,
Oh.
and like everybody in the restaurant, she's like,
Yeah.
and everybody stops, and then this old lady after it all ends is like, I'll have what she's
Yeah.
having, and that's where that line comes
Oh, that's
from.
really funny.
But that's why I think people said kids should not watch that, is that scene. But if you're a kid, it would go over your head probably.
Yeah,
anyway.
you wouldn't really get much of it.
Other than that, it's a very clean movie.
Okay.
It's just a sweet romantic movie. And what I liked about it was in between each like time jump, they would interview like an old couple and they'd talk about how they met or whatever. So it's like a good marriage movie of like, you know, oh, we met this way, and there's just different kinds of couples that meet different ways. And it's a good one to watch with the wife.
Nice.
When Harry Met Sally.
Harry Met Sally. We both saw a movie this month. We watched Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, we did.
Martin Scorsese's new film. We saw that in IMAX. The only way to see Scorsese's work.
Yeah, that movie was beautiful on IMAX.
Yes, it looked really good. Really liked the film. It's based on a true story. It's based on a book about this true event that happened. There was a reservation of these Native Americans, the Osage tribe, and what had happened was there was all this oil, and they were making money, but these white men moved in, ruined everything, all this crap happens, and they kind of get taken advantage of in a way that is very terrible, and they are slowly killing them.
Yeah, well, the setup is like these Native Americans, they do get their money from the oil.
Slowly, taking
but like they set up all these rules where like you can only get the money out of the bank if you have like your white person with you. And and these men are marrying all these women and then they're slowly like getting like almost like liens on people, like, oh, I'm gonna adopt this 20-year-old Native American man because he's my best friend, but then he's slowly killing him to get his money and stuff. Yeah.
Very terrible story, but Leo does a great job at it. And the woman, I forget the woman's name that played his wife.
Lily Gladstone is the actress.
Okay,
I don't remember.
Molly is her
Molly's
name. The character name. But
she
did a phenomenal job.
She was the star of the show.
Yeah,
she was amazing. What I liked about the movie is it's a really delicate balance, and I don't know how the guy is in real life or the book, but. So like all these people are marrying these Indian people, and what they do is Leo moves here, and it's kind of like he's moving there because his uncle basically runs the town. His uncle is like, as you learn, is like very involved in all this crap going on. But like he's kind of a simple-minded guy, but he actually does fall in love with an Indian girl.
Yeah.
Or a Native American girl, but he also doesn't play it straight. Like he does this illegal stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like you connect to them. You want them to be happy, right?
Yeah.
But you also know that he's not doing the right things.
Yeah.
You know? So they played that perfectly where if it's not Leo or they don't play it this way, you probably watch the whole movie like, I hate this guy. And he is dislikable, like for the things he does. But they play it just right where you resonate with the wife and you feel awful. But it's not a miserable watching experience where you're like, oh, this is terrible. I hate it. It's funny at times. It's like Tarantino almost. I mean, it's a Scorsese thing. Like it's funny at times. It's entertaining. But man, that movie was riveting.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was 3 hours and 40 minutes long. I remember we were about to go into it, and I was like, don't look up the link.
I was worried, and I legitimately, it flew by.
I had a great time with it. But
I really it felt an hour less than John
Wick
Wick 4.
Performances, and like you get to learn fricked up stuff.
Yeah.
But that was Killers of the Flower Moon. Definitely recommend.
Yeah.
Play that and don't play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, good trade-off. I like that.
They're both the same length. Me and my wife watched Us, and not like we looked at a mirror and saw Us, the movie Us by Peele, Jordan Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele. I think so.
I've already seen Get Out. I liked Get Out a lot, and this one had an interesting little plot. This one felt like a Twilight Zone episode. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Heard of it.
Okay, this one.
About it. I get what it's doing.
There's a big twist in this, so I can't talk about much. But I'll talk about the premise. You probably saw it in the trailer.
If you don't care, you can explain.
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen this one.
I still won't spoil it all the way, but the premise is this family is going to this house, this vacation home, and one of them kind of looks outside at night and says, "Hey, there is a family in our driveway, just standing there." And they open the door and they're all holding hands and they're just in the driveway and they can't really see the face, whatever. And one of them comes up and looks, and it's the dad is looking at himself, and then, like, that's his family sitting there. So he goes back in. It's like, oh, that's us out there. Like,
that's creepy.
So that's where the story goes, and there's a big twist, big whatever is going on. Very, very interesting film, very fun film. I just felt like a really, like, a little bit longer of a Twilight Zone episode. So, and I thought back, they let him direct one of that Twilight Zone reboot.
Yeah.
They let him direct that, and it's like, yeah, that's why, because that's what he's making basically now. So
that's kind of what Get Out was too,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. It's like modern social commentary.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So this one was the fun one, and I want to check out Nope. So then
I want to see Nope. Yeah, I've heard Get Out. I loved Get Out, and I've heard Nope is incredible. I heard Us was like just a notch below those two, but still good.
Yeah.
So
it didn't blow me away, but yeah, that's what I had seen. Oh, and then I watched one last movie. I watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because I've always heard of that, and I just saw it on Netflix, and I was like, oh, I've always heard people talk about that or whatever. I need to check that out. And it's funny because, like, there are films, I feel like this is a quintessential example of that. There are films that, like, come out during a time when, like, people are in their teens and they just resonate with it. And then here we are in 2023 and people are like, oh, I love that movie. And then I watch it and it's like, it was just okay.
I felt the same way about that when I watched it.
But if I would have saw that when that came out, that would have probably been mind-blowing. And one thing that really, like, stood out to me in that film was there's a scene, and it's because a lot of films have adopted what this movie did. You know what I mean? We've seen it 8 gajillion times. Like, there was a sequence that was almost not a dream sequence, but something else was going on, was when one of the characters comes home and his sister and friends are there, and there's a girl there, and they're in their bikinis and stuff, like her sister's friend. He's like, I'm going to go inside for a bit. I have to get ready for work. Or I have to take a shower or whatever. And he goes in there, and we see, like, a dreamlike sequence of her getting out of the pool in her bikini, and it's slow motion. And he's in the bathroom jacking off. And let's just call a spade. And as he's doing that, the girl that he's, like, dreaming about, fantasizing about, she's like, where's your guys' restroom at? I have to go use the restroom. Like, oh my gosh. And, like, she comes in and opens the door. He's like, 1 minute. Like, or, like, opens the door on him and sees, like, from the back what he was doing. But that's the kind of stuff. That moment stood out to me because I was like, I have seen that, and that was a funny moment. And it's like, oh, shoot. But for someone in the 80s when this came out, that was like, that was probably a memorable. You hadn't saw that to that level maybe at that point. I could be wrong, but... And we have our own that, like,
Super bad.
We're gonna show we're gonna show our kids, and they're like, we don't get that, or like that wasn't as mind blowing to us. It's like, oh shoot, but and that's what I felt like. I didn't connect with it. I thought it was a very, very. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5, but like 1.5 out of 5 maybe. But it had heart. It had, like, stuff it was doing, but it just kind of aged. There is a 35-year-old that has sex with a 15-year-old in this film, in a dugout. Spoiler alert. The bathroom, but they kind of just say it matter of factly and just move on, like it's just a thing. Like, it's so that's again, it has aged. Like, I watched that and they were like, she was weirded out by it, but the plot moves on. They don't ever commentate on it again. They're like, yeah, he was older, and it's like, yeah, wasn't he 30-year-old? It's like,
you see that a lot in, like, high school.
He does ask. He was like, you're 18, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm 18. He's like, you don't look 18. She's like, I'm 18. And then they have sex. It's like, I am watching. Like, that's what they're saying.
That's wild.
I felt the same way when I watched it. It just was. It didn't really make me laugh. Is the thing?
No, it doesn't.
It's really not that funny of a movie. It just kind of presents life. It's almost slice of life when I remember seeing it.
And they have, like, the guy that's high all the time and stuff, and they do.
Like, but I
didn't really laugh either. I'm with you. I did
Dazed and Confused is weird because it's more 90s. It's more modern, but it's based in the 70s.
Yeah.
I always was like, I like that movie. I like, so I don't know. Yeah, it just wasn't very funny.
Didn't really connect with it.
Yeah. American Graffiti, I felt the same way about. It's set in the 60s. And it's a coming of age movie where they're driving cars around the town and stuff.
But I feel differently about that because Fast Times at Ridgemont High was, like, a current time movie. Like that, they made that during, because that was set in that was made in the 80s, and that was set like kind of the early 80s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
because it's
American
malls and
Graffiti
stuff. Yeah,
not
American
set?
Graffiti was 80s, and it was talking about the 50s. Like
It wasn't 80s because it was George Lucas before he made Star Wars.
They made it in the
George Lucas directed it before he made Star Wars.
Then it had to be 70s because it's about the 50s. It's about the mid to.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
you're right. Fast Time at Ridgemont High. That's it.
Was modern.
It was doing the
current
Dazed
times.
and Confused thing where it's 20 years ago, but
yes, it was made in current times. That's what Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was
kind of like
in,
Superbad.
Yes,
kind of like
a modern current of the current era. Whereas that was
Freaks and Geeks and all this.
Yeah. Whereas that was kind of making stuff before, and that I think is. Those films are better. Like that's why I kind of liked American Graffiti, because they were kind of like making it, looking in the past and whatever.
I get you.
But that's all I'd.
Well, you watched one other movie because we just watched it. Halloween 2.
Oh
Rob
yeah,
Zombie.
Halloween 2.
Yeah,
it's so recent. Yeah, we had our annual Halloween party, and we have been doing this. I looked for 10 years this year. This is the 10-year anniversary that we started. Like, hey, let's watch a. What if we went through all the Halloween movies in one a year? And we've been doing that for 10 freaking years. So this year was the second Halloween film made by Rob Zombie, Halloween 2. And that came out in 2009. And we got lots of warnings from the bigger Halloween fans around that this one sucks. And they were right. Surprise. This one sucked. Good. I did love the kind of cinematography, and the shots were more dreamy in this one outside of that. But as I was watching, I was like, I get why that even pissed off people that like this franchise even more. Yeah. It's like the artsy fartsy stuff has never been a part of it.
They went so into like trying to explain Michael's motivation for being a killer. And have you seen this movie?
Yeah, it's not
good.
It wasn't good. I borderline liked it better than the first Rob Zombie Halloween because I really did not like that.
They
movie.
Said
See, I really liked the first Rob Zombie Halloween.
Really?
Yeah, I liked that one a lot. Now that one is edgy too, but at least I thought it was cool. They showed that origin, and I was kind of interested in it. And it kind of like, I mean, it was very dark. It's very dark and very edgy at times. It kind of aged in that kind of 2000s way, but I really liked. I thought it was cool the first.
They said that the score and the shots that they used in this movie were the only redeeming factors. They said it had a really good like music score behind it, and they said there were some really awesome shots that like wasn't popular right there. They said outside of everything else, absolutely trash. Which,
it was a cool,
in my opinion, when I remember watching, I was like, this does nothing for me in the Michael Myers series. In my opinion, it does nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was whatever. But next year it starts the Danny McBride recent current era trilogy. So I've been hearing good stuff about those first two, and that third one's kind of mixed. So we'll see what we
like. The third. Yeah.
Mixed.
I've seen all three of them. So
yeah, but. What you probably same thoughts or like
similar, same thoughts. I don't have deep thoughts about it. I don't need to see Michael Myers' face.
Yeah,
don't need to hear him
he
talk.
Says die.
Yeah,
you know,
they break every goofy rule for no. Yeah. You can break rules. You just have to do stuff with it.
I will say this: the one thing this movie did have going for it was I thought the opening was strong. I thought the opening of the movie with like the fake dream sequence in the hospital and like the guy, there's like these guys, they're the grossest human beings on earth. The people that take his body at the beginning, and they're gross and they're talking about like, you know,
necrophilia stuff.
Necrophilia and all this stuff. We're definitely losing our YouTube monetization. But then I liked it. They're driving and they're talking and this guy's a cow and he's like, blah, 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 he's a cow, and they hit a cow. And it is the most brutal, like, it really reflects, like, what can happen in a car wreck. Like, the one guy that was driving, his entire face is caved in. And they don't just show it for a second. Like, they keep going back to it. His brain is coming out of his mouth. Yeah. And then they go to the other guy, and his jaw is, like, off. Yeah. And he's asking for help. Yeah. And the shot is just sitting on him. He's asking for help, and he's asking for help. And he's like, frick, frick, frick. Yeah. And he's panicking. Yeah. And then Michael comes out and kills him. But there were sequences, a few things like that in this movie where they really sat with something. It was almost borderline Lynchy. Like they really make you sit with it and it's uncomfortable. It reminded me of the guy in the jail cell in Twin Peaks when the guy's like just
repeating everything,
repeating it over and over and over, and
Shut
it's
up.
right on his
Shut
face.
up.
Yeah. And that stuff was effective, and there was more subtlety, and it made me unsettled. Whereas the first Rob Zombie movie for Halloween was just like so edgy and so over the top at all times. This did make me like, man, that is bothering me. It's unsettling. There was a part with a dog in this movie, and they're eating food and there's stuff with the dog, and kind of cutting between two scenes where I was like, that's effective. That was effective filmmaking.
Yeah.
Not effective writing. Not effective
writing
dialogue.
Was terrible.
Yeah.
Man, you ready to drop balls at the circus?
I think that Rob Zombie might be the worst dialogue
worst,
I've ever seen in like a high
and
production
really
movie.
Me and my wife turned on last Halloween. It was like, let's find a Halloween thing. And on Netflix, it just came out last year, or I think it was close to it. The Munsters movie made by Rob Zombie. We had heard, like, people was like, it got like 1 out of 10s on like everything. Yeah. And I was like, people really hate this. And we turned on, 10 minutes in, we were like, oh my gosh. And we turned it off.
Yeah.
It was so badly written, and the dialogue was like, ugh, like I hate everything about this. So
there must be a subset of people that dig it, because he keeps getting work and he keeps getting a budget, and he's a name, so that's a draw, I guess.
Yeah, that's all it is.
But
Well, I think that's our podcast, unless there's any curveballs you want to throw.
Nah, I got nothing.
Nah, man, I'm ready to drop balls on the end of this podcast.
Let's drop balls on the end of this podcast.
Again, YouTube monetization.
Yeah, that's done.
We don't care about that here.
It wasn't in the first 10 minutes. Though.
Yeah, as long as it's not in the first 10 minutes.
So
we're angels in
the cool kids are getting the rest of this.
Yeah, we're angels in the first 10 minutes. And after that, you better lock the door and don't tell mom and dad what you're watching.
If you're still here, though.
Did you guys be able to lock on your doors when you were a kid? I did not have a lock.
I was in the downstairs, so it was like you could lock me down there, but it's also like there's a set of stairs. There's like a whole thing. I never had the ability.
So you had like time.
I had time if I needed.
See, I didn't have time.
If I needed to like close up shop, like I could, you know.
Yeah, there was no closing up shop for like I had to be in a place of like.
You were on Main Street.
I loved Howard Stern when I was a kid, or watching Howard Stern at night.
Oh yeah,
but
this is what?
Yeah. No. Let's revisit the original. You said you loved Howard Stern as a kid.
Yeah, I'd watch Howard Stern as a kid on cable.
Okay,
TV,
keep going. Yeah, because in the context of
what we were just talking about was really didn't work.
Oh, you thought I was doing? So, yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I thought you were having a dreamy sequence of Howard Stern coming out of the pool in a bikini.
Howard's getting out of the pool. No, I just always I was like, ooh, you know, as a kid, it's like, oh, it's tantalizing, or like Sex with Susan, or what was that like Susan show that had all the sex stuff?
Susan?
What
was it called? Like Sex Susie Talk or whatever. And it was an old
Sex
old
in
woman.
The City?
No, there was an old woman.
What the hell are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about
Bro, get off of HBO.
It was
nice.
not, we didn't have
Sex
HBO.
with Susan?
It was cable. It was cable.
Cinemax?
I didn't have cable.
I don't know, dude.
I
don't know.
It literally, it wasn't Cinemax or any of that stuff. It was this old lady, and people would call in with their sex like.
Was it Girls Gone Wild?
No.
Wow, that came on like 2
This is you guys have ever seen this? Am I the only one that's seen this? It was.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking
it was an old like.
Turn the TV down, dude.
It was an old like 70-year-old woman, and people would call in, and she'd be sitting in a chair, and they would tell her about their sex life, and she would like say, well, this is what you need to do, and she had like an accent, and she would say all the sexual stuff. So as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be watching this, and I'd be like, couldn't keep my eyes off of it. And then
I don't know if you were the target demographic.
Same thing with Howard Stern. I liked watching that, but I would have to, you know how you had like a button that would press to your last channel?
Private mode before I look this up.
I would have to like sit there and be like Clint Eastwood, ready to draw because my parents wouldn't knock.
Is Howard Stern the guy with the curly hair? I don't really know him.
You don't know who Howard Stern is? He had curly hair. He was a
radio host. I just know him because he's always saying something. Like
but he was a controversial guy.
Was he like Joe Rogan before Joe Rogan, kind of? I always kind of.
He was more shocked than Joe Rogan. Okay. He was more like, and he would have all these weird people in.
Okay.
The show was known as Talk Sex with Sue Johansson.
Sue, yes.
And it was also known as Sex with Sue.
So here's the thing. We're pretty close in age, but every now and then you start talking about something where I say, you're an old man. You're straight up saying, and I would watch Howard Stern, and I'm like, you might as well be saying, like, you watch The Simpsons all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what.
It ran from 2002 to 2008, and it was a live talk show where viewers could call in and ask
So
any
you would watch
variety of sex
Sexy
questions.
Susan?
I would, if it was on, I'd turn and watch a little bit and then quickly turn because I just never knew when my parents wouldn't give a courtesy knock.
That's brutal.
It wasn't until years later.
Are you calling Susan?
That
This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
Let's talk to Sue live on the podcast.
Okay, this is Sue.
If you are over 50, please press 1 now. If not, press 2.
We're not doing this. Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh.
No, I wasn't
No,
I
don't
figured
wanna
it.
do it. No,
I
I
wasn't
can't do
thinking
that.
what it was going to go.
So, but you can still call her, apparently.
Well,
Let's see.
you know, let's wrap
Well,
this
now
podcast
we
up. I
won't
got
know.
some questions I got to get off my chest.
Yeah. I was watching those shows.
Yeah, so let's close up shop here. If you're still here, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring that bell, do the different things like that to stay notified of what things we're doing. Zach?
We're on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter on X.com, as DweeBros, at DweeBros on there. And by God, I was supposed to already be streaming, but, you know, blame Pierce, blame Matt, put every blame on them, find their address, send them letters.
Good leadership.
Yeah, there we go.
Send them letters and say, what'd you guys do? We're trying to stream this coming week, so hopefully we can do that. I want to stream Call of Duty 1, 20th anniversary just happened.
Wow.
The very first Call of Duty. So I'm trying to get into that because I have so many stories, so many times, so many things to talk about.
I'd love to do that.
And that, yeah. But hopefully streaming that soon. But every Thursday, we're trying to get back into that Hangouts. Check that out. But other than that, hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the DweeBros podcast.
Close up your shops.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you for joining. And toodaloo.